Live from the UTARadio.com studio, this is the Fry and the Guy Show with Dylan Fry. You get the leg sweep, man. And Angelo Rios.
Buenos nachos. I got my own theme song. What's up, everybody? It is that time of the week here in time for Fry and the Guy here on UTARadio.com. You know everything. You follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Fry and the Guy. You know, just look us up. Call us in the studio at 817-272-2651. If I sound like I'm a little rushed right now, it's because I am super excited because we're going to start off with the big surprise that everybody's been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, live on the air right now on the Fry and the Guy Show is the Texas legend himself, Kevin Von Erich.
He's in the building!
How you doing, Kevin?
Listen to that. How are you guys doing? Good to be talking to UTA. You know, I wrecked the knee playing against you guys, so you can think one of my prouder moments. Had a knee injury covering a kickoff with you guys my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
You were a fullback, right?
Yeah, I was a fullback and a punter.
Oh, what was that like playing against UTA?
They moved me to tight end, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was. Those are the early days of Lennox Hill braces, a knee brace, and I'll tell you, getting in that stance was just. It was hard to fire out of that stance. I tried to come back from the surgeries too fast. It's my problem. I wound up overcompensating. You know, you can do that. You can get used to limping and develop the wrong muscles and get an imbalance, and that's what I did. And I messed my knees up again and again and again. It was stupid, but you know, that's part of the game. And in football, you want to get back on the field as soon as you can.
Yeah, we unfortunately no longer have football here at UTA. But
yeah, you're one of the only ones that remembers UTA football here.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys had a running back named Derek Jensen that was an excellent athlete.
Oh, nice.
You didn't forget him. Yeah, he was a good, and also he had a tough team too. It was those were the good old days, I guess. But yeah, I did wreck my knee on that thing night, and then hurt my knee a few more times after that, and that's really what put me into wrestling. We were always, my dad was. I was just looking at some old family pictures the other day, and it's unbelievable how my father looks exactly like my sons, and we were all kind of big for our age, you know, but Dad was big for his age, and he looked exactly like us. I'm looking at pictures from back in 1940, 1955, and 1954, and 53, and my father, you would think you're looking at Marshall or Dave, or in some pictures we just and muscular, tall, muscular, and you know, more muscular than the people around him. My dad had genes like a dang racehorse. My kids look just like him. It's unbelievable.
Well, speaking of family, we're going to go and get into this. The question I always wanted to ask you was, what was it like growing up in a wrestling family?
Well, I didn't have anything to compare it to, you know, so as far as I was concerned, that's just the way everyone lived. We were always out in the country, too, so we didn't have a lot of interaction with, you know, other kids. During the summer, you know, we always had a shovel in our hand. We ran a farm, and so a lot of work, you know, goes into that. And during the school year, it was to school and back. We lived so far out in the country, and you know, thinking back on it, I realized why. My dad lost. My oldest brother was killed. He's electrocuted up in New York, and my dad was just determined to get back to Texas. I saw one of these old pictures I was looking at where he wanted to open a bake shop in Corpus Christi, and to him that would be heaven. And I can see what's cool about it. I like it. To this day, I love, you know, I spearfish, so I love to fish too, but I just do it differently. In fact, where you guys live, I used to love to go down to Galveston, about 55 miles offshore. We had an oil rig we could tie off up to. You can climb up there and turn off the alarm too, so that you can get some sleep. Spend the night out there and dive at sunup. And there is no better place to wake up in the middle of the Gulf. I remember the moon going down on one side, the sun coming up on the other. Just a magical night. It was just beautiful. And then we dove when the sun came up and speared a lot of snapper or some ling and blackfin tuna. We don't have that here. You know, we have yellowfin tuna, and we have aku and akuli, all sorts of tuna, ahi, but or yellowfin tuna. You know, fish you don't have in the Gulf, but still, there's nothing like those. You wouldn't believe it to be in Texas, but off those rigs out there, you're in as clear water as you are here, crystal clear.
So you have moved to Hawaii with your family. What's the biggest difference for you moving from Texas to Hawaii?
Well, I came out here with a reason. I mean, at first, I wasn't going to come out here. I was going to go to Costa Rica, and I scouted it out and had my spot picked down in Dominical, south of Capo. So that was going to be where I was going to live. It was, you know, Costa Rica, half the country's dry, the other half's really wet, and they call it dry forest. It's rainforest, but dry forest. And there's a lot of those macaws, those red parrots, they're everywhere, and howler monkeys, and such a diversity of wildlife. It was really what I wanted to be around, but all the Spanish, it would have been tough for the kids going in school, so we went ahead and kept it in America, and I'm glad I did, because we came out here, we were in the tropics, which are what I wanted, and my goal, the reason I wanted that is because I want to be independent. I don't want to pay any man. I want to have my own. Here I have solar panels. I have my own well. I want to be completely off the grid. And if it weren't for telephones, I'm almost there. It's just, I spearfish. We kill pigs. We hunt, and we have pheasants and quail here and dove, and also we just trade with our neighbors. So milk and we raise goats too, and we trade. I milk them, and we trade with the neighbors, and eggs and vegetables and fresh fruit. I think it's a healthy way to live. We're not getting the preservatives and the artificial colorings and flavorings and all that junk they put in food, and I think it's really going to be a good call in the long run.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to take you back here real quick. So what do you remember from the Sportatorium days?
Boy, that was a energy-packed building, that's for sure. That place would come alive. It was just, the whole place would be shaking sometimes. Great building to wrestle in.
You still got I was watching Heroes of World Class last night. You still got those scars on your shoulders from all the women trying to scratch at you?
Yeah, I do. How'd you know about that? I do. I've got scratches all over me. I noticed my brothers had them too. Scratches from the going to the ring and all. Yeah, those fingernails, they'd scratch up. You didn't know it till you got home.
So back in the Sportatorium days, did you have a moment that just sticks out in your mind as you just saying, okay, I've made it?
Yeah, I'll tell you. It might not be the story you're looking for, but
we're just fans. We just want to pick your brain.
Well, here's a good one. It was a Halloween thing where we had a bunch of little kids. They were all dressed up in their little costumes, you know, and I was in the ring, and I'd reach down, and I was holding on the top rope, stand on the apron, and I'd reach down and pick up the little kid, lift him over the rope, and put him in the ring, and they'd walk around in their costume, and going by the applause is how the kids won, you know, and so one by one, I put all the kids in the ring. Well, this one little girl dressed like a witch kept stepping away, you know, and so she wanted to be last. Well, she was, God bless her, she's about 250 pounds. She was a heavy little girl, 250 is what I'm going to say, and when I picked her up, the rope made a loud pop, and it made a sound that was, and part of the crowd started to laugh. In fact, a big part of the crowd started to laugh. And I turned around and looked at them with a look, and those people shut up. I mean, we did not want to hurt that little girl's feeling. We all came together on that and didn't want to hurt that little girl's feeling. I'm telling you, that was an incredible moment for me. Believe it or not, that stands out in my mind as a great moment. The people want to do right and be good, and no one wanted to hurt her feelings. And she didn't at all get her feelings hurt, didn't suspect a thing. She was young and walked around. I even think she won. You know, it was just a great night, you know, and people, it was just, I thought, man, I'm so glad that happened like that. Believe it or not, that's a high point for me for the Sportatorium.
That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that, man, because, like I said, I was one of those kids that would love to go watch wrestling and just interact with the wrestlers. And anytime they, spotted me out in the crowd and, acknowledged me, I always loved it. So, heartfelt moments right there.
Yeah, there were such good fans, so loyal. I'm so grateful. I mean, I was a professional wrestler. There are a lot of things have happened since then, and lots going on, Israel and all, but it was just beyond anyone's expectations. It just was getting bigger and bigger and bigger every month, and I didn't do anything. I did my best. We worked hard. We were born with good, metal, but that's half the fight. Then you've still got to be able to wake up early, work out daily, and we made it part of our lives. Track, football. It was just constantly. Ask anyone that grew up with us around Denton. Everyone knows that was our lives, and it's a healthy way to be, healthy way to grow up. But it was the only life I knew, and the healthy life, and I'm really glad for that. Just grateful. That's what I want my sons to be, not necessarily be wrestlers, but be healthy.
Yeah, your fans are definitely loyal, because this is the most buzz that we've ever had for a show that we've done. Yeah. They are still loyal to this day.
Really? Oh, that's great. Man, the thing is, people talk about Dallas fans being fickle. These people are, you got to look at people that are good inside. They're the salt of the earth. People that want to see the good guy beat the bad guy. I think that's hard to find. It's hard to believe. These kind of qualities, or these kind of virtues, just are not like common anymore. It seems like but there are people that just are good and want rights to come about. You can't help but love them for that.
So, I'm only 20 years old, and I didn't really get to see too much of the Von Erich Freebird rivalry, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, there is still to this day one of the rivalries that I look back on as probably the biggest rivalry in professional wrestling. Can we get a little bit of your take on that?
Which one is you would say the Freebirds are the biggest rivalry?
Yeah, Freebirds and the Von Erichs.
Yeah, that was when our TV had really more people had seen that one. Actually, we had some pretty darn good rivalries with Bruiser Brody and King Kong Bundy and One Man Gang and Kabuki, and there was some plenty. We had not to mention Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez. There was some good stuff, but the Freebirds, as far as those guys are concerned, they were good athletes, young kids that were willing to go the extra mile, willing to tough it out. I know I have a reputation in wrestling. They talk about how I hit too hard and whatever, or I did it too hard. The thing is, I tell the guys, hit me back. Fight back. We're being paid good money, and let's earn it. There are ways to do it, and there's, give 100%. If you give 100% of anything, if you give your best, that's what you're going to get back. And if you give, half, you'll get that. It's all about, my dad was right. All of our dads were right by telling us that it's all about, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
So we've got the new breed of the Von Erichs out there. They are wrestling in Noah. Is that correct, in Japan?
Yeah, my sons have been wrestling in Japan, and I'll tell you this. I haven't called any favors. I don't have really any connections in wrestling anymore. I'm a farmer, a fisherman, spear fisherman. But for Noah out there, I sent him out there to Harley Race. I really have a lot of respect for Harley Race. He was a great champion, and he had a wrestling school. Well, the Japanese scouts were there, and my sons are like, the brothers were. They're big and strong and fast runners, and they can jump high, and they're athletic. They're agile, and also really big. And so they were picked up by the Japanese scouts and have been going to Japan. But to be a young boy in Japan is different, and I knew this going in. These guys have to sweep up. They bow to everyone. They carry luggage. They put the ring together, they take it apart. You're like dirt. You live in the dojo, you clean it up, you have no worth at all. It's just, and it's a good way for them to come up. I didn't want them to be, coddled, taken, because Lacey had gotten into wrestling, Carrie's daughter, and I didn't like the way that had come out. She, a lot of people offered her favors and all that, and my sons didn't ask for any favors at all. And they went to Japan, and they've done that for a year now. Now they've done it for 3 years. They're into their third year, and they're winning matches. They got a huge fan base over there. I couldn't be more proud of them. And what do they call it? VE3G Japan, the Japan branch, the Von Erich fan club out there is just, they're just great fans, loyal, good fans, and I'm so grateful to have them too. And big hello, if any hellos, or if this is internet, well then hello to all you guys too.
Good. Well, konnichiwa to all our fans in Japan. So your sons are wrestling. I mean, do you see any characteristic that, anytime you see them wrestle, they say, wow, these guys remind me of us when we were younger wrestling?
Without a doubt. That's the biggest thing. As a matter of fact, it's just like looking at the scrapbook. When I hear them, we've got a ring out here and they wrestle, and there's some big islanders and there's some kids here that we are considering sending over to Japan that are big, strong kids, the kids that wrestle, the kids that they spar with, athletes here on the island, and there's some promise there, but when I hear the boys say things like "duck it," "catch him," reverse it, the little key words that we'd use, and I don't mean those words, but these little, you'd never get it if you were in the ring, if you're our opponent. You'd never understand what we're saying. But the kind of little keys that they yelled at each other are exactly the same ones we did. Everything, they know how they're going to move. It's exactly what we were like. We knew exactly what the brother was going to do, and that's how they do too. They just know, and it's really something to watch because that's the way we did it. We just kind of we're exactly in the right zone, right in the perfect channel.
So
great for us.
So we've talked about how they remind you of the Von Erichs. How do they differentiate themselves from the Von Erichs from back then?
Well, I'd say they're both agility is one thing they got from my dad, and I'm really glad they're really agile. Ross does that. I did this flip in the ring where I'd do a handstand and bounce over to my feet, and it's high risk. And I messed up one time in Reunion Arena when I had that darn cape. It got tangled up in my feet, and it embarrassed me, and so I never did it again after that. But I told Ross that was a tough move, and he said, "Oh, this," and he just jumped up and did it, and oh my gosh. And so nobody else does that, and to this day, and no one does the standing body scissor. Ross and Marshall both do that. Excuse me, I'm getting a little hoarse.
It's okay.
Yeah, they do. Marshall in Japan reached down, picked one of those guys up by the head, and pulled him in the ring and slammed him. And that's never been done in wrestling. And it's just he's I don't want to say a freak of nature, but he's got it. When it comes to the ring, the sound of the crowd does something to you. It gives you adrenaline, and we're all Christian. We believe in God, and that's where our strength comes from. We only go through doors that God opens, and we go around the ones that are closed. So that's just how they look at life and the way they live, and they're blessed. Everything they do, it seems like God's with them, and they just succeed. And I couldn't be prouder. Marshall passed up a full-ride scholarship to several colleges for football and track, a combination scholarship at Cornell, but wanted to do this, and so I couldn't disagree with him. I still have 9 hours to go to get my degree at North Texas. 9 hours, and I don't see myself going back. I don't really need those. That degree didn't do me any good. It just taught me good connections. need an appraisal, I know who does real estate appraisals. If I need, connections, that's what you get from college, not really much else. I went there to play football. That's the only reason I went to college.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. But when we come back, we will talk to Kevin about the Von Erich movie, the 30 for 30 special, and we received a special letter from a fan. You're listening to the Fry and the Guy Show on UTARadio.com.